Well, you know, some people don't believe anything that they hear. These people have to see things to believe them. Lithuanian people are like this, doubters. They used to call them Litvoks. And a long time ago, in a little Ukrainian village called Nemirov, one of these doubters, a Litvak, happened to wander into town just before Rosh Hashanah, the birthday of the world. Now, as this Litvak walked through the little village, the villagers' heads turned. A stranger was an event in Nemirov. And as he walked through the marketplace, the grain merchant took it on himself to walk up and say, "Welcome to our town." And the Litvak said, "Thank you." He was about to walk on, but the grain merchant continued, I think I know why you've come to our town at this time of year." "You do?" "Well, yes, I think you've come to see our rabbi." "So why would I want to see your rabbi?" "Well, it's well known that our rabbi is the holiest rabbi in the world." "Your rabbi, oy. Every town thinks its rabbi is the holiest rabbi in the world, please." "No, our rabbi is the holiest rabbi in the world." And the other villagers who were, of course, listening in agreed, "Oh, our rabbi is the holiest rabbi in the universe." "All right, tell me, what makes your rabbi so special?" "Well, all right. Every Friday morning, in the days before the new year, our rabbi disappears." "Your rabbi disappears?" "No." "Yes, he isn't anywhere. He's not in his house, he's not in the streets, he's not in anyone else's house, he's not at the shul. He simply disappears." So we know where he goes. "So, tell me, where does this holy rabbi of yours disappear to?" "Our rabbi raises himself straight up to heaven. He stands in front of God, and with his own mouth, he asks God personally to forgive the poor, sinful people of Nemirov." "Oh, please, don't tell me fairy stories. You're rabbi." "God admits our rabbi into his presence. What more proof do you need that our rabbi is the holiest man in the world?" "Please, even Moses had to die first before he went to heaven." "All right. If you don't believe it, then where does our rabbi go when he disappears?" "I don't know. Really, I don't care." But after the villagers had gone, the Litvak started to think about the story, and, well, he couldn't get it out of his mind. And after a while, started creeping into his head, maybe there was some truth in it, and being a Litvak, he figured he couldn't believe it, he would have to see it. That night was Thursday night, the night before the supposed disappearance. And that night, the Litvak sneaked into the rabbi's house. Now, it wasn't locked, because who would steal from the holy rabbi of Nemirov? He walked right into the house, he walked right into the rabbi's bedroom, and he got under the rabbi's bed. And he waited. Now, after some time, he heard the rabbi come in, heard him come right into the bedroom. He could hear him getting undressed, getting into bed, and eventually snoring. Well, another man under the bed might have fallen asleep, but not the Litvak. He kept himself awake all night long, reciting verses from the Bible in his head. Finally, a few hours before dawn, he heard the rabbi get out of the bed, and then he heard him start to get dressed. Now the Litvak peeked out from under the bed, and he could see that the rabbi wasn't putting on his usual long black coat and white stockings and fur hat. He was pulling on a pair of baggy old trousers and a coarse smock and a wide leather belt studded with nails, a peasant cap and tall boots. He looked like a common peasant. Then the rabbi walked out of the room, and the Litvak tiptoed behind him, crouching behind the furniture, and he saw the rabbi grab an axe off the wall, sling it through his belt, and walk out of the house. Now the Litvak continued to follow him through the narrow side streets of the town, till the houses got further and further apart, and the Litvak realized that they were in the forest. Well, the Litvak hid behind a bush, and he watched. The rabbi took out that axe, and he began to chop down a tree. And after he had felled the tree, he started splitting it into logs, and then splitting the logs into sticks. And the Litvak was astounded. Here was a rabbi, a scholar, a holy man, acting like a common peasant. Then he watched as the rabbi took a rope and bundled up the sticks and slung that bundle over his shoulder and started walking back towards the town. Now the Litvak continued to follow him till they were on the poorest street in the town. And the rabbi stopped right in front of a very ramshackle hut. The windows were cracked and stuffed with rags, and the door was falling off the hinges. And the Litvak watched as the rabbi walked right up to that house and knocked. And the Litvak could hear a voice coming from inside the house. "Who is it?" "It's me, Vasily." "Vasily, who?" "Vasily, the wood chopper. I have wood for you, very cheap." And the rabbi walked into the house. "Wood? I have no money for wood." "It's all right. You don't need money. You can pay me later." "When will I get money? I'm a poor widow." "It's all right. I trust you. Can't you trust in God?" "All right, but who'll make the fire? Do I look like I can get out of bed?" And the Litvak watched as the rabbi walked over to a stove, started taking the sticks and piling them in. As he did, he said a prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Then he began building the fire. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. And then when the fire was blazing, he piled up the rest of the sticks next to the wood stove. And the Litvak, who was still watching from the window of the house, was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Now, in the days that followed, the Litvak stayed through Rosh Hashanah, through Yom Kippur, and quite a bit longer, and he became one of the most devoted followers of the rabbi. Now, some days later, he happened to run into the grain merchant, and the grain merchant said to him, "How is it that you, who were such a doubter of our rabbi, have become one of his most devoted followers?" And the Litvak just shrugged. "But wasn't it you that doubted that our rabbi was the holiest man in the universe?" The Litvak nodded. "Well, something must have changed your mind. What changed your mind?" "I saw it with my own eyes." "You saw it." "I followed the rabbi." You followed the... You mean you... And did our rabbi, in fact, raise himself straight up to heaven? The Litvak looked at him, smiled, and said, "Even higher, even higher."